6:30. I'm going to start our monthly CSD Board of Directors meeting on Tuesday, October 10th. Instructions on how to make public comment during the meeting. At points in the meeting, when the meeting chair requests public comment, members of the public shall indicate their desire to speak. All public comments shall be addressed to the Board of Directors and limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The Board of Directors may choose to respond to the comments or request staff to respond at the completion of the public comment period. All right. I'm not going to call to order because I won't call to order. Taking a look at the agenda, is there any questions from the board about the agenda? Any amendments that anybody needs to make? Stephen, would you like to make any
to the agenda?
Comments about the agenda?
No.
All right. All those, I guess it's their call to adopt the agenda. We are adopting it. Perfect. Sorry, I'm a little off this evening. Sorry. I'm totally not on. Yeah.
Totally understandable.
All right. We are moving on to the consent calendar. We have the draft minutes of our meeting from last month and the bills paid. Questions from anybody on the board? You know, motion to approve. Do I have a motion? I'll second. Hold on. Wait, before we approve, Stephen, do you have any questions on the consent?
No, not on the, no.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar as is?
I have Lisa and Kathleen.
All right. What?
I have Lisa and Kathleen from Governor.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. All right. Moving on to item D, public comment open time for items not on the agenda. I'll just read it out loud even though we know exactly what it says. Speakers may comment only on non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the district. The board may not take action, consider, or debate items not on the agenda except under narrow circumstances meeting statutory tests. Responses to comments on the non-agenda items will be limited to factual information or clarifying questions from staff or board at the conclusion of the public comment period. The president may refer the matter to staff or to future meeting agendas. Stephen, would you like to make a comment?
Yes, thank you. Okay, well, just got my tax bill, as I'm sure all of you have, and it's a big 5-figure number, and I'm wondering what's going on. Why? I mean, do you guys feel real good about the state of Marinwood CSD? I come here every month and I say, hey, the seniors, we need some park benches, we need some toilets, we need to clean up the all the erosion. I see none of that. The only thing I see is we have good youth programs, and if you've got a school-age kid, Marinwood's a great place to be. But for everybody else, I mean, it really just seems like you guys are dialing it in. And I'm very disappointed because, you know, I met with each one of you individually. I think you're all good people, including the staff. But there's this lack of leadership and vision, and you know, pretty much all of you have either been appointed or run unopposed. You've never been before the voters to present your vision, and I guess maybe you feel like, hey, well, that means we get to do whatever we want, but I would hope that you would think that this is an extra burden on you to make outreach, and how well have you done. I do want to say one thing that I noticed this month, which I'm very happy that John Paul did a walk for seniors, and I think that's terrific that there's clearly a little bit of outreach going on. But more needs to happen. You guys are getting older, okay? And you guys are gonna be the ones that are gonna be in pain and wanna sit down on a bench in the park. And will that bench be there? Well, you have the opportunity now to do stuff like that. You have the opportunity now to build toilets so people don't go to the bathroom in the woods. You have the opportunity to make this place better. What the heck are you guys doing? Now lastly, that's this month's request. Lastly, I never received apology from the board member who told me to shut the F up.
That's decorum.
Hang on for a second. It is completely appropriate that you remedy this with an apology and a statement from the board on decorum. Now, you are the president, and I would hope that would be, this is your legacy, and I would hope that that would be something that you would consider important. But, whatever. Just rubber stamp it this month, I don't know.
Thank you, Stephen, for your comments, and I believe that I did make a statement exactly the meeting after. We're moving on to district matters now. We are looking
you're
at
such a coward.
E1, district manager report, and I don't think we need to read it word for word from what Eric wrote, but clearly lots of work has been going on, as we can all see, and it looks like there was a tree that was removed. Luke, did you have anything extra that
No,
Eric wanted you to tell us?
I think Eric's been pretty thorough in his report, which everyone can read. We're very encouraged that the work has started. Fairly close to the date we were hoping to start. So it was kind of a last minute scramble to get our approved permits from the county. They were a little later than we were hoping for, but the crew. The contractors were ready to go as soon as we had everything in hand, and they've been down there working away all day, every day. And it sounds like I talked to the project manager today. Sounds like things are going really well. The crew is, I think every one of these types of projects is a little bit customized. It's not like there's like a standard set of steps you take for every creek bank and everything.
Yeah.
It's a little different, but
We're not cookie cutter rivers.
right, yeah. So, but it sounds like things are going really well, and they're making the progress, and the project manager said he was very encouraged by how much progress they've made so far. The weather's been cooperating, and things are going well down there. So they've been they did some widening of the creek bank, and I know they started rerouting the water from upstream around to where the work is being done to downstream, and that seemed to go well, and they're down there just getting ready to start putting in some of the materials to shore up the bank and the riprap and logs and stuff. So tons of progress every day. We did have a large tree removed that posed a hazard to the whole area. Unfortunately, it was one of the oak trees we were hoping to save, but it was deemed to be a hazard, and when we started taking it out, it was actually rotted all the way through, so it was actually a really good thing that we caught it now, and it did.
It could have not caused the whole bank to go down, though. Come on.
Or I was, the main concern from the arborists that we had looking at it was that there were going to be people directly under the tree with excavators, digging at the bank that the tree is sitting on top of. So
they needed to go. But.
Yeah, so that was a rough thing. We were really hoping to keep that tree, but it was the best decision, and I'm glad we made that preemptively and didn't see something happen. So yeah, everything seems to be moving according to plan, and looking good about that.
And then the play structure, do we have a date? Not yet, right?
We don't. They're just waiting on the parts, and we talked to some representatives from the company last week, and they said that they're expecting them any day now, and things are still moving according to the plan. So there's no reason to be concerned that nothing's happened yet. So once the parts are all here, then they'll start working on it, so.
And we don't have any issues when it rains that they have to stop or anything, right?
I don't know how the weather impacts that work.
Okay, 'cause it is by the creek, but it's not on the.
I don't think from like a environmental
Okay.
standpoint, it's more just like the physical work being done. I don't think
Okay.
it should be a big issue unless it's some like real dangerous, weather to be out during. But
Okay.
yeah, so hopefully they can get that going as soon as possible, but we don't have any more information about that.
Okay, and then, yeah, our financial audit is gonna be completed and we'll move forward with that. Okay. Anybody have any other questions for Luke?
Nope.
Okay. All right, fire department matters, welcome, chief. Thank you for arriving. Draft minutes. Safely. Did you wanna say something, Kathleen?
No,
Okay.
my meetings aren't exciting as Park and Rec, so I don't want to take away his thunder.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, chief,
All right, good
do you
evening.
wanna, yeah.
Sorry, it's a
I mean,
couple
do you wanna
minutes.
do your report before we do the agreement between the county of Marin and Area 13, or do you have comments on the, you weren't at the commission meeting, right?
I was.
Oh, you were, okay, sorry, go ahead, take it away. I am very off today, sorry.
Oh, are we going out of order though? or
No,
or
but
you wanna go
do you have anything about, is it the draft meeting, or are you going to your chief officer report? Is that what you're gonna go towards?
I was doing the chief officer.
Okay, so
report.
hold on one second,
Okay.
sorry,
Let's go through the
again,
minutes first.
well, we didn't have any questions, but did you have questions about the minutes?
I don't have any questions about the minutes.
All right, so we're gonna move on to number 2, which is the agreement between the county of Marin and Marinwood Community Service District for the fire protection and emergency services of County Service Area 13. This is a yearly thing that we do, and it just changes with the cost.
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Awesomeness,
Public?
thank you.
Nope.
All right, thank you Kathleen for reminding me to ask the public. All right, now we're gonna move on, all of the public that are here. Number 3, the agreement between the county of Marin and Marinwood Community Service District for the fire protection and emergency services for the juvenile hall. Again, this is a yearly thing, and
Motion to
it's,
approve.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, sorry, I forgot to vote before.
Chief.
It is approved, go ahead, chief.
Okay, how are you?
All right,
Sorry for the 5-second delay there.
no worries at all. I'm in no hurry. And please don't take that to misunderstand why I was tardy. I actually had someone that was leaving the organization and wanted to share my appreciation for the work that he's done in San Rafael. He's moving or working now in Rockland, and he's been making a good commute, and was explaining to me that he had a 3-hour commute this morning, so,
Wait,
So-
Rockland as in Rockland near Sacramento?
yes.
As in Rockland, California?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's
Oh my God.
relocating there. He's got a higher paying position as an inspector, so he was part of our wildfire mitigation specialist team, so just wanted him to know my appreciation. The conversation was a little bit long, and I found myself, oh, I gotta go, and so sorry about that. That being said, the report is fairly light, and the evacuation study, I'll start with that. It wasn't really the study that I had hoped to see, based on what I saw in the way of the mapping and the detail, the lack of detail in the maps, the lack of detailed information about the evacuation corridors and some of the other information. And so my intent is to follow up with the MWPA Executive Director, Mark Brown, to see what we can do to make a better product, or at least pull content that's more specific. It's kind of general in nature in a lot of areas. The mapping diagrams that were shown in the draft version almost looks like something that it's not really something people would want to reference and refer to, because it doesn't really show you any of the neighborhood streets in detail. It shows you just, for example, Lucas Valley Way, but it doesn't give you any level of detail and specificity that I think would be beneficial to even take a look at. And so there are other mapping projects that have been near completion that are being done by members of the Marin County Fire Association. In essence, individuals from Southern Marin, San Rafael, and multiple other agencies are been working for several years now on some of these mapping projects. So I'm going to pull different mapping resources to be able to share with the commission and with yourselves as well, so you can see a little bit more of the specificity and the updated content that exists that was not found in that evacuation study. That being said, the study did cover a few important areas. One of them pertained to alerts and notifications during peak periods where there might be extensive travel or extensive amounts of traffic based on either times where school lets out, peak congestion from traffic in the evenings or in the afternoon, and then nighttime, when everyone's asleep. What will evacuation look like in 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning? What does that particularly look like with the flow of traffic and the number of vehicles and residents that may be looking to evacuate safely? And so there is information on that. Some temporary staging locations. Where will those be located? Again, not enough specificity in my opinion about specific things that we want to land on and say, okay, we know this is a safe zone. We know this is an area where people want to have a place of temporary safe refuge. You know, I know just from my own experiences, you know, schools will be a prime location provided the vegetation around schools is actually addressed effectively because they have a lot of asphalt and concrete and other things that people can come and park their vehicles and have as a temporary location where fire is not going to easily pass through and create a problem. But that being said, there are also some concerns around and identified areas surrounding narrow, steep, windy roads and the canopies that could exist in those areas. And so those are areas where future projects will exist. And I'm going to segue right into some work that's been done recently, and I've got photos in the report regarding that, out over our Miller Creek Road. From Eric's ongoing efforts to pursue the county and some responsibility for that area, and along with individuals both here on the commission and in the board, I'm sorry.
I said, and Tom.
And Tom, there's been a finally an acceptance and a realization from the county that they have an obligation to address the areas of concern that have been mentioned for quite some time. Since probably shortly after my arrival, I've been aware of it, but it's probably blown way back.
Long before you.
So I kind of figured.
It's been a squeaky wheel for a while.
So that being said, the great thing is there has been some thinning in the area. I did kind of notice what I didn't think was necessarily the most visually appealing cuts that were made, but I guess you can't argue with safety versus, you know, getting the
Have you
the
seen
work
what
done.
PG&E does to people's homes, right, in front of their homes with the.
I've heard some of that
This is it.
frustration too, yeah. But the great thing is there is some work that's being done, but I did notice that there's some power lines that are still kind of intertwined between some of the branches and leaves there. So the question becomes, is it going to be PG&E that now has to address that, or other additional efforts that the county is going to put forward to try to reduce some of that vegetation and continue to thin and reduce the risk in that area? And so I'm hoping that folks will appreciate that, because we didn't know how long that would take. And as I told the commission, I want to follow back up with my staff, because my staff didn't see that area as a prime concern. And I think I shared that with both the board and the fire commission. And so someone said, well, maybe the arborist who was brought in by the county had some incentive to actually want to, you know, see some work being done, as opposed to the risk being identified from our own wildfire mitigation specialists and other folks who have in-house subject matter expertise. So with that work is underway. One of the other things I wanted to share that I thought was interesting was there was a presentation made last month by the Salvation Army. It appears that much like American Red Cross, the Salvation Army is now looking to become actively involved in either training, exercises, large-scale events, and/or actual emergencies by providing a mobile canteen. And so they brought out a vehicle that's roughly 55 years old, and it looks impressive. I thought, wow, this has been well maintained. Well, it turns out on the exterior they put a wrap on it, so it's not that it's been just, you know, immaculate and no damage to the body or anything, but this wrap makes it look like almost a brand new vehicle. So when you look at the photos, you wouldn't know unless someone told you, or you know how to recognize a wrap early on. But this resource is important because it actually has the ability to provide upwards of a couple hundred meals for individuals who may be hungry for just something as simple as burgers and hot dogs. They say they can do breakfast with some scrambled joes and things of that nature, but those things have to be cooked off-site because they don't have the capacity inside the unit to refrigerate as much stuff. So that it's easier for them to do burgers and dogs on the grill that's located inside. They had a few more small sanitation things they wanted to take care of, but ultimately, those are just, a couple hours worth of work. So Peter Breen and some of the other volunteers made it clear that, this is a resource, they want to put it in play, and they want to see if there's an opportunity to collaborate with all of the agencies in the county moving forward so that they can have an active role in what's taking place throughout the community. We thought we might be able to use their services at the girls' camp that just took place this past weekend in Novato. Unfortunately, we weren't able to kind of work that out, but it's okay because the number of attendees was roughly a third of what we anticipated. They thought they'd have about 100 instructors and about 50 participants. Ended up with 23 participants and about just as many instructors. A lot of the instructors got mandatory to work, and the others that were able to came on their own dime, their own volunteering, and their own volition, and they support all the girls' camps in this manner. But they had just done another girls' camp about 2 weeks ago, so I think they probably projected that, hey, this may not be the ideal time to try to do the camp. And so I'll share more information at the next month's report about the camp, including photos. But I will say Engine 58 went out yesterday, Sunday, and actually had an active role in supporting the girls' camp and assisted with some of the hose evolutions and some of the things that the young campers got a chance to get hands on. And then at the end, they demonstrated what they had learned, whether it was vehicle extrication with the extrication tools, forcible entry with some of the tools like a Halligan and a flathead axe, the advanced hose line up into the second floor of the Novato training facility, and then turned out and opened the nozzle up, so a nice long stream. There was a confidence course that had smoke or simulated smoke inside. They got a chance to ascend the 100-foot aerial ladder that Southern Marin Fire Department provided, so it was just a variety of things that they had a chance to participate in over the weekend. And it was our first ever girls camp, so I'm glad we finally got it launched. Golden State Women in Fire Service, they were phenomenal. I mean, all of their volunteers came from Southern California, you name it, just to come and help out with the effort. And we lost 5 of the girls after the first day. So they thought they were going to lose 3, but there were 2 more that didn't make it back. I'm not sure if it was the heat or they just weren't really wanting to be there in the first place. Mom said you're going to go, or
It was a hot day though.
both days were hot, but
Yeah.
Saturday was more hot.
building.
Yes.
Went on fire, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there both days. I went in the morning the first day, and I came for the tail end of it at the second day. And it was getting hot when I left at around 11 a.m. Saturday, so I just knew it was going to be punishing, and it was. The great thing is, instead of wearing structural turnouts, we allowed them to wear wildland gear. There's another backstory behind that I won't share right now, but that being said, it became the best option because prior to that, the Golden State Women in Fire Service, they always used structural turnouts, which in the heat like that can really create some very draining effects on some of the young women and others who aren't accustomed to wearing that kind of protective equipment throughout the day. And so just worked out to be a great event overall. So I'll have more in the next month's report. And then I will share, there's one more thing that occurred that I think I found of interest that I'm going to share in the next month's report that I just attended yesterday. It was a live streaming that took place with Assemblyman Damon Connolly, subject matter experts from the insurance industry, subject matter experts from other fire agencies such as Chief Winokur of the Moraga Marin Fire Department, Director, Executive Director Mark Brown of the Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority, and a bunch of others, included United policyholders Amy Bach and just probably at least 8 or 10 more people that provided testimony about insurance and wildfire and risk reduction and all the efforts that kind of tie in together to kind of ensure we're looking at moving forward, how we can ensure people don't lose their insurance, sorry, too many insurers there. But what steps can be taken that really will lead to meaningful outcomes so that people aren't running to the fair policy and paying 2 and 3 times what they're accustomed to paying, or paying 5 or 10 times what they're accustomed to paying because the insurance industry is hemorrhaging money right now. They don't want to continue to be in that boat. That's their contention. Others feel completely different. They feel like they're not losing nearly as much money as they lose in, say, Florida with the things that have been happening there. So it's a bit of information you have to sort through, and I think Supervisor Connolly and others that were there were asking some of the right questions. So I want to provide a summary of that in our next report as well, so you can kind of hear where things may be heading to based on that insurance or wildfire risk hearing that took place. And then, as usual, last but not least, sub 6 minutes. What can I say? Sub 6 minutes is,
Yeah, great.
you know, I'll say this, there's an EMS study right now that San Rafael has commissioned, and a total response time of sub 6 minutes is not, it doesn't look like it's even possible there. Some of the time frames and the distance traveled is approaching what I think is almost double what normal response time should be. There are different reasons for that. I'm not blaming anyone, but the reality is when you're looking at a 7+ minute response time and the industry standard says 4 minutes, and I'm talking travel time, not total response time, because you have call dispatch time, you have processing time, turnout time, travel time, and then what's considered total response time is all of that combined. And when your travel time is almost double what it should be, that's speaking to either some challenges with the terrain you have to navigate, or speaking to some challenges with traffic congestion. It's speaking to challenges with maybe perhaps what your turnout time is, how fast you're getting out the station. And so when I see this, it makes me smile. And it's only because I don't see it elsewhere. So I just want you guys to know you're getting some of the best response times that I've seen anywhere. And I say it every month, and I'm gonna continue to say it. Unfortunately, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but it's certainly something to be very proud of and appreciative of here. So with that, I'll take any questions.
A round of applause for her.
Yeah, totally.
Our-
We'll hear that song every month.
Yeah.
I guess my question would be, obviously, I am not a trained arborist, landscaper, or any of the above. Is there a reason why, I mean, these are non-native trees, like, eucalyptus are burning issues, correct? I mean, I put eucalyptus in my fireplace once and it didn't turn out super well. Unless you like a lot of heat
Was
in
it
your
pretty?
chimney. I'm not understanding why the county just doesn't take them down altogether and then we do something that probably would look nicer and be safer anyway.
That might be part of the challenge. I think there's
And it costs.
sometimes a public outcry when you see clear cutting.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that's factoring into their decision, or if they think somehow or another, if they cut them down completely, there's gonna be a responsibility for them to actually replace
Right.
with some other species, and then the responsibility for maintaining that species moving forward still falls back on them. So it may be a short-term solution for right now, and they may have a long-term plan. I'm not sure what that is, but it
Okay.
could very well be that they're just intending to limit up moving forward as they need to, as opposed to completely removing the trees.
Okay.
But I can't speak
Yeah,
to it.
I would not expect you to, but if you hear something
Oh, yeah,
in
absolutely.
one of your many meetings, I'd be very curious, because it seems like the tree in the front, we might as well just take all the way down. It's like a super
I
bad
think
haircut.
cost is a
Yeah.
huge,
Real bad haircut.
Yeah.
I think cost is a huge factor.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
I was able to, we actually had the same arborist that did the report for that project, did the report for the tree that we had to get taken out here, which was just a total coincidence. It's just kind of funny that he doesn't know us or didn't know that anything would be, connected, but it sounds like, I mean, I think just in general, arborists don't like taking out trees that they don't have to. Like
Right.
trees, we want to keep the trees, you know,
Sure,
so
sure.
from that perspective, it's like, oh, are they problematic? Is there disease? Is it posing a hazard? If it doesn't check all those boxes, like, the goal is to keep trees,
Gotcha.
regardless of what those trees are,
Right, right.
and generally speaking. So I think they did take out a handful of them. I don't think they kept them all. They totally cut.
I saw maybe about 4 stumps.
Yeah,
Or
I think there was
6
at least-
inches on the ground or
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but
But
it looks
yeah,
like they just did a lot of limb cutting
did a lot
more
of
than
limb
anything.
cutting.
Yeah.
But they come out every day, like they've been there all last week.
Yeah, I
They
think
were
so.
there Monday.
There might be more, there might be more.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
I think Bill actually has something to say. Go ahead, Bill.
The evacuation assessment,
Yes,
was that the one that we're doing through the MWPA?
that's correct.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah,
That's kind of surprising because we've been working on that for 2 years.
right. Again,
And is that the one that was
That's why he was
presented
disappointed.
at the Lucas Valley Community, had a meeting, that they presented at Lucas Valley Elementary for the people up at.
I'm going to assume it's probably related because I don't know that the MWPA has 2 separate ones, so I'm assuming it's
Okay.
going to be the very same one, yes. again, as I stated, there's some good elements to it, but there's some areas that I see definitely could use some flushing and some improvement. And so, and maybe it's something that Mark is gonna work with the individuals who perform the study or assessment and try to make sure that they, modify or make some helpful changes. And I want him to have my feedback. I don't know who else has provided feedback at this point. This has not been something that surfaced as a conversation at the Marin County Fire Chiefs Association level. I'm assuming it will because I'm president, even though we're not meeting this month because we'll be at a conference. Next month, we're all meeting in November. And so I think the subject is certainly one we want to talk about. Mark usually attends those meetings when he's available. So it'd be a good time I'll send him an email. But I want to make sure we follow it up with some conversation so I can show him, see here on page so-and-so, this map, this is unacceptable. This is like something you'd look at from the 1980s, if that. So it just, yeah.
And just a heads up, we
Yeah.
had a practice run of, 2 years ago on September 1st, we partially evacuated. Everybody went to Northgate, to the Starbucks, and the Silvermans. So,
I was at Sears, what are you talking
you went to Sears, okay, so.
With his
But it was like
favorite.
literally, nobody went very far.
Well-
So I'm just letting you know, if
Yeah.
From,
they
But
should
how-
know,
yeah,
when our district is on their own means, and they're told to evacuate, this is how far people go on their own, if the fire doesn't look too bad.
Some
So
people
they
didn't
want-
even evacuate.
right,
So depending on,
I was in.
I just, because you have evacuation routes and
Mhm.
points at which people should congregate, that should be known that this, as a group, although it's only been once, I bet you if we had it again and there wasn't like a plan in place that we were told about, that's what everybody would do again. Be like, oh, we went to Starbucks last
Well,
night.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's great, but I'm glad that action is taking place now,
Yeah.
2 years later, because really, nobody does know where to go at this point.
Exactly.
If we're forced to evacuate our homes.
Right.
And so I think it's important to have some sort of a plan in place so people know what to do. And this also brings up the cell phone coverage question that
Mhm.
came up for the first time 2 years ago.
Yes.
Which is, it's something that I keep bringing up as points to discuss, but I mean, this, I think it kind of goes back to that as well. The ability for people to communicate in an emergency situation, and the lack of coverage that we currently have now.
Well, I can speak to that right now as well, if that's helpful.
Yeah.
When it comes to the cell towers, I know there was an assembly bill being introduced to ensure that the providers had at least 72 hours beyond an actual emergency where there was backup residual power, so that those cell towers wouldn't go down for at least 3 days.
But the problem is that we don't even have cell phone service.
I get it, and so I was gonna touch on that next.
Okay.
Just 2 weeks ago, well, maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Chris Tubbs, who's the current Cal Chiefs president from Southern Marin Fire Department, Fire Protection District, reached out to the other chiefs, and I immediately took the content. He's been in touch with Verizon, AT&T, and some of the other larger commercial providers. Apparently they're studying right now what are the gaps in coverage in the area. So I went immediately to my staff, and they provided me with information about all of Marinwood, Lucas Valley, heading west, and multiple areas in San Rafael. And so I took that information and pushed it right back to Chief Tubbs, who in turn CC'd me on his response back to those agency reps, so they could say, hey, the problem's not just in Southern Marin. Marinwood and San Rafael have these challenges in these areas. And so there was maps and specific parameters provided to the areas of lapse in coverage, if you were, or voids in coverage. And so that information just went out about a week and a half ago, I think, because I got it back from some of the staff that actually has conducted inspections. I got it back from Chief Sennett, who had been out here for that incident 2 years ago and knew about the cell coverage gaps. And I got information from Quinn Gardner, Office of Emergency Services director, or deputy director, who actually went back to her staff to get more feedback. So I made it clear, this is from the boots on the ground. These folks that are actually out here and know that these are areas that need, attention. So the hope is that they're gonna land on this and do something about it since it's provided to them. I'm gonna assume they will, partly for 2 reasons. One, because they know that this is something that needs to take place. But 2, Chief Tubbs is the current Cal Chiefs president until next week. So you're dealing with someone who's not only part of Marin County and well respected, but also he actually is heading up what's happening statewide when it comes to the California Fire Chiefs Association. So the hope is, I don't have a timeline, but I'm gonna certainly follow back up with him to find out what were they projecting on their next steps and what do those look like. So I hope to be able to bring that back in a future report as well.
So great news.
Yes.
Thank
You're
you. Yeah,
welcome.
and I was being a little light about the fact that we all went to Starbucks and to ice cream, but I wanted to say, like, we don't have a plan in place, like Lisa was saying. So now that we've had one, the practice run, I don't want people to keep doing that if our other fires aren't that. So having something in place on where to go and would be very helpful, so that we weren't
And I would
not evacuating or evacuating not far enough.
Yeah, I think it really depends on where you are and whether or not Northgate makes sense, or whether or not you want to go to Los Gamos and the sheriff's office and that other side of the building there, or if you're going to go even on the other side of 101 as an example. I think those are all options, and I would say it's going to be incident driven.
Yeah.
But it's also going to be based on wind direction, it's going to be based on, you know, traffic congestion, maybe road conditions, and these other variables, and so.
But when we were told to evacuate,
Yes.
there was no directive
The-
at all. It
the-
just said
There's no to where.
The
There was
challenge
no
was
two-where, yeah.
who issued the evacuation order. Generally, what should come out is an evacuation warning, and then followed by an order
That's all.
with
That's how it was,
specific
yeah.
directions.
And there's a sheriff driving around telling
Yeah.
people.
And so there's an effort for better coordination on that, because we know there's been independent action with law enforcement in a couple of instances. San Rafael PD did something similar in San Rafael when there was a fire on San Rafael here, maybe Hill, about a year and a half ago. They started, you know, evacuating people without even giving any guidance or, you know, going into unified command with fire to understand what the situation was, and does it even require evacuation. So that's what you don't want to do, is create a panic or a lot of unnecessary movement that now creates congestion and prevents resources from getting there to stop things from escalating. And that's what was starting to happen in that situation. So more conversation surfacing about how we can avoid that in the future.
Okay,
Cool.
perfect. Thank you. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else have
You're
any
welcome.
questions? for
I
me?
did, but I don't remember.
Sorry.
Oh, you said he ends next week.
Yes.
Who takes over next?
I'm not sure who's queued up next. I'll find out next week when I'm at the
Not
conference, but, oh no.
You should
no.
do it.
I'm Marin County Fire Chiefs Association president. Cal Chiefs is statewide. So
That's too
I'm,
much?
I think so.
I think Kathleen can tell
You can take care of it.
I've got my own share of frustration and getting grief right now, so I don't want to add to it.
That's nice.
But no, Chief Tubbs is great. I wish it was a 2-year assignment for me, because it just seemed like it came and went so fast.
It's only 1 year?
Yeah. Yeah,
That is
the
quick.
Marin County Fire Chief's position as president is 2 years, so I'm in my first year. And then in January of '25, my tenure will end there. But he's been already chief, I believe, here for Marin County Fire Chiefs Association, as Chief Momey, Chief Weber, and others prior to my arrival, Chief Tyler in Novato. So it was, I guess it was my turn, really, so, yeah.
Awesome. And I know it's not on your report, but I just was wondering if we have an update on recruitments, and do we have anybody or?
Not currently.
Okay.
We had one individual we thought was solid, and I think Eric may have shared it at the last meeting,
Yeah.
that he's opted to do something else. And, you know, I much prefer us learn that before we go through the investment and the time, and then they get in the seat and they suddenly abruptly leave. And I've seen that happen multiple times in San Rafael, so I think I think Eric's gonna go back and look to retool a little bit, but we've gotta figure out what we're not able to do right now in the way of drawing the candidates that we would probably normally have drawn just 5 years ago, as an example. And so I have to say, I think compensation is part of the challenge,
Yeah.
but I also think that it's a bigger issue just within the fire service in general, where we're not able to pull as many qualified individuals. And so I think I shared this before, we've been pulling from each other's agencies. And that's not a sustainable model. Some people are paying incentive money, and the firefighters are leaving there because there's incentive and or it's closer to home. But that incentive is short term. You know, the end result is you want to land on an organization that you know is a great fit and a great place to work. It can't be just, you know, the $20,000 or $30,000 they're trying to offer you up front, and then you get there after a couple of years and you're like, what did I do? You know, so. Yeah, unfortunate challenges right now with just recruitment in general, so But there's gotta be some additional things we consider to make things more attractive to candidates to apply. Yeah.
I have something I was gonna email you about later, so, not a board meeting thing, so, just giving myself a nudge. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
You
Chief,
can
appreciate it.
Oh, you're
hang
welcome.
out with us or skedaddle, whatever.
Or have a life.
It's been a long day, I think.
Which is why I'm gonna email
Try to
you.
get some
Okay.
sleep tonight.
All right,
Thank you all.
enjoy, thank you, drive
Thanks,
safely,
Steve. Thank
please.
you. Thank you.
All right, moving on to G, park and recreation matters, we have the draft minutes. Chris, do you want to head that up?
Yeah,
Joe,
Chris,
so
do
that
you
was
wanna-
it there. I was gonna
do you
say-
wanna take that
I
one
was gonna
too?
say thank you very much to Kathleen for covering me that
Oh,
night.
sorry.
You're welcome.
I didn't realize that, sorry.
Yep,
Yeah.
that meeting
Would you
too.
like to go to tell
It's
us?
a way more exciting meeting.
Way more exciting meeting. I don't remember what happened. I just sat there looking pretty.
Okay. so
I did
you-
great,
You have
though.
nothing to.
Just like
yeah,
Chris.
Okay. All right, so then, anybody have any questions about the meeting minutes? No?
Seemed pretty straightforward to me.
Okay. So we do have some things to vote on though. The first thing is we're looking to possibly approve the Miller Creek Trail Initiative. So we have a request from the developer of the Senior Living Center for an amendment to our original Oakview subdivision agreement regarding the financial contribution to be received by the district from the developer. So you remember, you guys, we negotiated 150 versus the puny whatever amount, I forget what it was.
36.
I was thinking 35, but I had a feeling it was wrong.
No, it's 150 and it went to
And now-
165.
And now we're gonna go up to 165 due to an unforeseen, well,
No,
foreseen.
it wasn't. It's
It's
probably
due to the-
foreseen they're
Foreseen,
dealing with the county.
if you work with the county at all, yes, unforeseen for them. Any questions on this? Eric has recommended that we approve it.
Yeah,
and-
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, we approve it. All right, the second one is a request for placement of a memorial to recognition in Marinwood Park in memory of Brian and
DeSanto.
DeSanto, so I was gonna say it right, okay.
I make a
Wanna go
motion.
through it? Second.
My
All
only
those-
question on this is where? I mean,
So-
because it really didn't, it said,
Correct me if I'm wrong, well, Luke maybe knows.
Oh, yeah, we did actually discuss
We
this
did
at
talk
the,
about
at the commission meeting. It's
I
a
remember
good,
this.
good discussion about possible, types of memorials and possible locations. And the general, consensus was kind of that the north end of the park where we've been, where the, staff has been working to kind of rehabilitate after the shipping containers
oh,
over
go
there and
on.
everything.
By the
Oh,
Gala.
that looks good too.
By the
And to
original
do,
Gala pit.
maybe, get a nice, like,
Boulder.
landscaping boulder with a plaque.
Kind of like
would
what we
be-
have in the playground and also.
Yeah, we
by
have a couple
the
of
other
those,
side.
yeah, exactly. It'd be kind of a subtle but a fitting memorial for Brian, and that would fit well with the landscaping in that area.
Mhm.
And so I think the commission and staff were kind of in agreement that would be a good idea, and then we would move forward working with individuals that requested that, and the staff just kind of just hammer out some of the details and then look at, the possible, styles of boulder to get and the plaque and all that, work on those details. So, I think, I personally think it's a good idea. I think it's a good spot for it, and we definitely have room for it, and it would make sense. So, that's kind of what we're thinking about the commission.
All right, does that sound
Did
good
we,
to everybody?
did we discuss a bench, maybe be a bench?
So there was there was a letter submitted from multiple items, like 7 or 8 different individuals. Maybe you were on that.
Yeah,
Kind of a-
I wrote the letter.
Oh, beautiful, yeah. So, yeah, there were a
They
few,
didn't request a
there's a few
bench.
different,
Yeah, I see,
Options.
there's a bench option here.
but not specifically asking for
I think we were just trying to us, the recognition is the more important piece, and making it fit. We didn't know if you guys already had a plan for that. If you're asking for a bench because a bench seems to be something we could add to the park, we wouldn't be opposed to it.
Well, so we did talk about the different options for different types of things that can be done there, and benches definitely wasn't like ruled out that we shouldn't, but there are a few other memorial benches in the area. One we just put in just
Right,
around the
for
corner
Jimbo,
of the
yeah.
horseshoe pits, So I think maybe that influenced it, maybe something different for that particular spot would be appropriate, and everyone seemed to be kind of into the boulder idea, but it wasn't,
What if we have a bench, not necessarily with the plaque near the boulder with the plaque? Would that,
But where would you put the bench?
well, just so you guys know, just to outline kind of what the rough ideas for the rest of the development of that area
Yeah.
that we have in mind. So eventually, we want to have a walking trail that's sort of a continuation of the trail that goes by the new maintenance facility. Kind of go along the edge of the grass on the creek side, along the front of the tennis courts, and meet up with the other path that goes to the bridge to Miller Creek. That's an area that gets high traffic anyway. The cross-country kids use it, lots of people walk through there, and the grass gets all killed anyway, so might as well put a path in there. So I think that'll look really nice. So that's one thing. And then the Gaga Ball pit that used to be there, which lived here for the last couple of years, we're putting back. We just got a new one that's living here now that fits better in the space. It was taking up half the sidewalk on both sides, so we've the crew's like refurbishing that, and they're going to put it back on that end. And then there's still room, which we're probably going to do like a small picnic area, kind of like the ones that are adjacent to the new maintenance facility, those rounded picnic areas. So that's what we are kind of working towards. So there will be some seating there, but yeah, there's room for a bench, definitely, but there are a handful of benches over there, so that's
yeah, I mean,
Can we just agree that we're gonna acknowledge him and
Yes.
then work with the staff on what makes the most sense?
yeah.
I know the group that asked for this acknowledgement, and it seems like there's some movement behind it. We'd be happy to work with and pay for whatever it ends up being.
We'll have
Yeah,
a
we're gonna
fundraiser
do it.
for it.
well, how,
Right.
yeah, well, I think that, I love the fact that we're having a discussion about what would work best, and also since he was so involved in the community, which is why we're honoring him, making sure that whatever we put there in honor of him is kind of helping with the community. That was why,
yeah,
kind of like
totally.
a bench or the picnic table might be a fun thing, because if his thing was being there and
Bringing
helping,
people
bringing
together,
people
absolutely.
together, maybe
Yeah.
a picnic bench area versus just a rock
Right.
with the plaque might work better but I am willing to put my yes stamp on any sort of
Step on
recognition.
the recognition and
I-
then.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then deciding on
yeah.
what.
I have a problem with changing the conversations after, if we're gonna approve it. Because the conversation was a rock and a plaque, and that was the recommendation
I
from.
think for
So I have
I think the goal is to have that conversation be ongoing between staff and the group that's requesting it, but I think that was, I think the
So-
commission was in agreement that was a good idea, but that we would defer to that would be the process moving forward, is that the staff would work with the group requesting the memorial to finalize the details and location of all that.
Correct,
But
so
the
we
problem,
can change what we're making the statement for. Is that okay with you?
No, it's not. I think the problem is that when the board makes a decision, whether it's a rock or a bench or whatever, to put a recognition in place, that should be defined of what the recognition should be put in place. Not, okay, we'll acknowledge the recognition and then what is going to be put in place and then it's changed afterwards. That I have the problem with.
So are we as a board deciding what the vehicle for the recognition is going to be, or that the recognition is going to happen?
I don't know, I thought that from the conversations that we're having from the commission was that it would be a rock, and now the board is throwing in a bench, and that's just different from the conversations that were taking place at that meeting.
I think just to clarify, for the purposes of the board's role in how I understand it for this, for tonight, like on the agenda item,
Yeah.
is approving that some memorial recognition be done in Marinwood Park for Brian DeSanto, but not designating the specifics of what, where, and when and how.
Because that is a
Yeah,
So-
because that's not our
That's a
role
step.
to
Right.
determine.
Yeah, so I think it's the discussion we had on Tuesday at the commission meeting is, was sort of, that's the commission's recommending that the board move forward with that and approve this. And then, based on that discussion and this discussion, staff will, take that direction and move forward.
So we can-
But the direction,
Change the statement though, to just say that we're
Okay.
recommending that we do a recognition, but that the exact thing be discussed and then brought to board. Would you be happy with it coming back?
it's not about what we can move on.
So we're, yeah, we're.
G3 says request for placement of memorial recognition in Marinwood Park.
Yeah, it doesn't say.
It
I
doesn't
mean, that's
say
what we're
bench
voting on.
or
It's
rock,
not-
it just
Okay.
says to.
I guess
A
we're between
recognition,
a
so
rock
I
and a
think
hard
we.
place.
Between a rock and a bench.
Approval of memorial
right.
plaque. So
Yeah,
the
I-
plaque can be done by final specific location, timing for placement and procedures for cost reimbursement. It doesn't actually say if it's gonna be, yes, the commission makes recommendations and they had said a rock, but we're thinking,
But that's my point.
I don't think
We're
we're-
not-
I don't think we're thinking,
We're not
yeah.
thinking rock,
We're not
and we're
thinking-
thinking
we're not
bench.
thinking- let's-
other
let's-
things,
let's-
but the staff makes that decision and we're just saying, yes, we're going to approve having a memorial recognition for him.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what we.
So
So I'm, can I?
yes. you-
I move that we approve the placement of a memorial recognition in Marinwood Park in memory of Brian DeSanto.
I second it.
Okay, I have a question because we've already done this part.
Oh, sorry.
I had a motion from Kathleen and a second from Lisa
Okay,
That's fine, I don't need
that's
to.
fine.
for the same thing though.
All right.
Right,
Okay,
so,
I'm just
okay.
gonna go right to
Sorry.
the first one.
Short-term
So now I
memory, short-term
understand.
memory, right.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor of having a placement of a memorial plaque?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Excellent.
All right,
I will say on behalf of Brian's family and friends, thank you guys very much. It's gonna be really important to a lot of people.
Thank you for putting it forward.
thank you for
Absolutely.
moving forward and hopefully we can make it so it's okay. So
Yeah,
people
it'll work,
can-
it'll work no matter what it is,
All right.
it'll be wonderful.
Luke, instead of having you have to read everything, did you want to highlight some specific things?
Yeah, I'll just touch on a couple things that are new going on. Well, the one is that this Friday is our Halloween Harvest Festival, which is one of our most popular events. It's in the park, 5 to 6:30. It's a pretty fun carnival style event with a bunch of different games. Carnival games set up like a dozen different things, activities for families to play, and there'll be treats given out. We'll have a bunch of bounce houses and a pumpkin patch for people to go get pumpkins and decorate them. So new this year, we're gonna have a food truck, which will be cool. I think it's Thai food from a person that is going to be offering a cooking class for us this year. So you can come see if food's if you're liking, you can take a class on how to cook it. So that'll be cool. And then our next event will be the following weekend on the 21st. Saturday the 21st will be our annual fall art show, which we're looking forward to. The pool just closed last Friday for the season, which people were very sad because it was like 100 degrees out. But then it got a lot cooler, so that thankfully it's not like blazing hot, as that's always the case. They say, we're closed for the winter. It's not winter yet, open up. But the pool season ended really well, and we're very happy with how it went, and we're happy that we have a little bit of a break to get some work done down there and to not worry about it. So I'm happy about that. And then Stephen mentioned it, but we do have a new event that going on this fall, or a new activity called the Senior Stroll. We had our first one a few weeks ago, where we took a group of seniors on a walk. They went through the Panhandle and back, and John and Paul, our recreation supervisor, led the group, and they got some exercise, got a chance to meet people, talked about Marinwood history, and some of the the flora and fauna out there. Yes, Bill?
Did they have to stop along the way and rest?
There was not a having to stop. There were many stops as part of the plan. And
To talk about those
yes,
different placards
and
along the.
exactly. And everyone seemed to have a really good time. We had like 20 people show up. And then the next one is this Thursday, and we're really excited. That one's they're going to take a walk down through Marinwood and then down to Big Rock Deli and have a lunch and then walk back. And so we did a little dry run with the staff just to make sure this made sense and see how long it took and everything last week. So yeah, it's a fun new event. There's a lot more interest than we expected based on the first one. So we're excited to be offering that.
You want to walk down the Big Rock
They already
Yeah.
did.
with old people?
Yeah, not like
There's no benches along the way.
there's some good rocks to sit on. And then another new program starting in the next couple of weeks is we have 2 different art classes starting at Mary Silvera and Lucas Valley Elementary. They're going to be taught by art teachers that teach at both of the schools, and we're excited to be able to partner with the schools to offer that. So that we'll see how that goes, and there's a lot of interest.
Is that for this, where do they sign up for that?
They're gonna sign up with us, so we got the details this week, and we're gonna be putting the information out. It sounds like there's already a built-in group that is interested in this, that the teachers have already put this out to the schools to some degree, but we'll be putting the word out through our normal marketing channels,
Okay.
and then taking signups through our recreation website, and then we'll see how it goes. So this is a new program we've offered before that we're excited about. So I will let you guys know. I think by the time we meet again, we will have started those 2 sessions. So see what the enrollment is and how that's going. But it should be pretty easy. It's going to take place in their classrooms on campus, and so we're excited about that. And we've got a lot of new programs and returning programs going on this fall, so that's been great. This is a lot of recreation class excitement for the fall season. So we'll see how those classes all turn out, but it's been good for that. On the parks and maintenance side of things, staff has done a lot of work out in the turf. We did a few irrigation repairs after the summer. They've been doing some treatment to the turf for the fall and winter. And I just want to point out, we've got a new, I don't know if we mentioned this officially, but we bought a new lawnmower a couple months ago. It's this cool Ventrac, kind of like a Swiss Army knife with lawnmowers. It can get all these different attachments to do different type of maintenance. We have it right now with a lawnmower attachment, an aerator, and then a trench arm that can dig trenches really easily for doing irrigation or repairs and stuff. And so far the machine's been amazing. We've been able to do a lot of aerator treatments, and we've been helping with repairs, and then just mowing the lawns. The lawns look a lot better. And the thing is much nicer than our 30-plus-year-old John Deere. Everyone's been saying, oh, my back doesn't ache for 2 days after mowing the lawns. It's been so much better. So we're really grateful for that new tool in our arsenal, and the staff are much happier after getting that. They're working on repairing some of the gutters on the roof, getting ready for the rainy season, and working on our refurbishing our goggle ball pit, amongst other tasks. And then the tennis courts, 3 and 4, the ones closest to the middle school across the bridge, just got resurfaced, and that work was completed last week, and they look really good. This was a little bit more in-depth treatment than we have been typically getting on the 3-year cycle. We do this kind of top coats. This one, they dug in a little bit deeper, dug out the cracks, and filled them and redid the top coat again. We're hoping to get another 4 to 5 years out of those 2 courts, but that's very weather dependent and has a lot to do with how much rain we get, how much sun we get, and what goes on with the trees and whatnot underneath those. Ultimately, we're going to need to redo those courts, completely dig them up and rebuild them at some point. But we're hoping that we can get another 5 years before we need to look at that. In the meantime, make plans for what to do for those. But right now the courts are playable again, and they're looking really good, so we're happy about that. Kathleen, do you have a question?
I thought we talked about redoing the back courts.
These are the courts 3 and 4 across the bridge.
Correct.
And
I thought we talked about having enough to redo them, not just resurface them.
I'm not sure where the discussion last was on those. This was sort of a middle ground. These aren't. in terms of doing like rebuilding
Yeah.
the courts, that's a big capital project. We go out to bid, that'd be a huge like construction project that we would need to,
Gotcha.
to
Alright.
use. This one is more like we budgeted for
Okay.
it, and it's just a little bit more in depth than.
Yeah, it's
what
not
we've
what
been
we've
doing.
been doing before, it's a
Yeah.
little bit, it's the next step.
But again, you know, it's hard to say how long. Hopefully, we get a good 5 years out of this. That's where cross our fingers if we get really good tennis court weather. But it is something we're going to want to look at the future of those courts and what we're going to do. And staff have had talks about how to approach that, and we've gotten some preliminary like, ballpark estimates for what that would cost from a few people. But we would go and do a lot more research, go into that, and move forward. What we do. But yeah, so that's kind of the main things I wanted to talk about. Please let me know if you have any questions or anything else you'd like to know about.
I had some questions, but I'll open up to the rest of the board first. Bill, Lisa?
I think my only question would be, at one point, we were gonna do the 2 tables in the open space, and I don't know, granted, I've missed a few meetings, so.
Yeah, I was able to talk to
More
Ian.
benches.
Benches.
Spoke to Ian at the commission
Right.
meeting briefly. So where we're at on that, we do have a bench ready. I think we had last decided that we would do kind of
A couple of benches.
trial run,
Yeah,
put a bench out
pilot,
there,
yeah.
and then kind of see how that goes and what the maintenance and things go with that. We have a bench ready to go. I think it was just a matter of making sure that we're on the same page about the exact location.
Okay.
So I think that was going to be we make a trek out there
Yeah,
and just make
let's
sure
do
that I think I know which spot that you guys had identified, but I wish wanted to go up there with you and or Ian.
Yeah,
Just like,
perfect.
hey, this is the spot. Let's
Right.
do it, and we'll do it. So we're basically ready. We just need to pick a
Okay.
date, and I think we're looking at maybe getting up there hopefully before
I was gonna say
it
before
gets,
the rain, right?
Not good to go
Yeah.
up there. Yeah. So, but yeah, on the staffing side, we have what we need to make that
Okay,
happen.
cool.
It's just a matter of us
I'm all-
coordinating. that
yeah,
date.
I'm all in.
There was
Perfect.
discussion of, you and Ian carrying it up there.
I was gonna say, Luke and JP carry the bench, Ian and I will bring the cooler.
Yeah. I think our Kawasaki
I think it was flipped.
Yes.
can get us all up there
Yes.
at this point. So
Okay, very
yeah,
good.
so we'll just have to just coordinate.
Okay, perfect, thank you very much, Luke. And I also wanted to say the pool was amazing this year, like, I've been around this pool for way too many years, and it was fantastic. The way the pool looked, the way it serviced the community, the staffing, everything like that, I thought was really great.
Oh, thank you for
Yeah.
saying that.
All the way into the last
Yeah.
day, I was there the last day, it was amazing. After school programs, I thought I saw a bus here, did we work something out?
We currently have no bus service to the after-school program, except we do have one participant who gets bus service from like a special needs.
That would explain why,
yeah.
I was so excited, darn it,
Yeah,
okay.
so one participant is getting bus service to the program.
I'm very excited for that one participant, I was hoping it was more.
Yeah, we probably have lost, or a couple people have like put a pause on
Okay.
that for the time being because the transportation is making it
Yeah.
tricky. But fewer than I expected. And most everyone stayed in the program and they figured out some carpool, some kids walk
Okay.
and things. So far everyone's still coming. We did have a few that have backed out.
Okay.
Those things, so.
And then it's kind of a follow-up to the bench. It's come to my attention that there's a gentleman who comes down from the hills and walks through our neighborhood and looks like he's camping up there. I don't know what, I don't know.
That's good to know. I don't know if that's something that we do occasionally throughout the years, but if you let staff know,
I don't know where he's coming down from, but he's got
locations,
like I see him every day, and when my mom was visiting, she runs every morning, and she would see him. And he's literally got like a hiking bag, and I've seen him now multiple days in a row, and so I get it, but I just want it to be safe up there for.
Yeah, we'll definitely check it out. We get reports from now and again
Okay.
that, or we've seen evidence or something. We'll go check it out and we'll bring the sheriff in if we think there's
Okay.
the main concern with people camping out at open spaces is the fire risk. If
Yeah,
there are
that's-
fires up there, so it's something we want to check out. If you have
And
a
I'll
sense
follow-
of which open space area that they're.
I'll
gonna
follow
have,
up with you afterwards,
We'll
and I'll
definitely, yeah.
direct you a little bit more.
So we'll definitely go check it out
Okay.
and just see what the deal is and if than you
Okay.
have. We haven't, you know, over the years, there's been people up there, it's actually been a very low instance of doing, there was one big incident up behind us, up in the hills up here, where there was like fire, but as far as, it hasn't been a lot, you know, we've seen, you know, thankfully, there hasn't been a lot of people building
Okay.
fires in the space, but we'll definitely go out there and see what we can find.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions or accolades for Luke and the staff for an amazing summer?
You know, probably do a little more of a full analysis of like the pool season, at the next meeting, it just ended last Friday, and we're still like, you know, kind of like,
Taking a breath?
letting the dust settle, but we'll, you know, talk about, I think, in a future meeting.
Perfect. All right, is there any board member items of interest and requests for future agenda items that people have?
Well, since the wall is being taken care of and the playground's being taken care of, you guys are probably gonna get slow down here. I was curious, and Kathleen, I should ask you this before I make this an item of interest, was pickleball discussed because of that letter at the PNR meeting?
Nope, it got moved to the following week because there was so much to discuss.
Okay, then I would make that an item of interest is how we might look at pickleball, you know, possible play on our courts or, you know, I realize building courts
Do you
is
want it
like.
on our agenda, or do you want it on the park? and
I have
Rec?
Park and Rec's agenda.
Yeah, so that is slated
It
for.
is on
So
Park
it
and
is,
Rec.
okay.
Yeah, and I think it'll be
This is board.
But this is our
This is
agenda.
our agenda.
Oh, okay.
It's on that
I
agenda
can't, I
already.
can't push things on other people.
I mean, you can, but.
You can,
not
yes, we
gonna
will
listen.
absolutely talk about that after
This
the
is-
park.
I'm gonna go with a no.
Yeah.
Our future
Yes,
agenda.
okay,
So,
okay. I feel
I
like
may be
there's a
out of
trickle
it.
down effect.
I feel like
It's
we are.
It's like a tree,
but-
it's like a tree.
Yeah.
Alright.
Perfect, thank you.
Maybe just,
So,
go ahead. Go ahead, Bill.
I was just wondering, if the letter that came in, is this person going to fund the pickleball?
I bet we'd
That
be
is,
surprised.
I don't know what
I
letter came
sure hope
in,
so.
because
Right.
I'm not
We'd be
entitled to all the
surprised.
information, but
Just curious.
Park and Rec, I'm gonna defer you to the Park and Rec.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe I'll attend that.
Yes, attend.
They're a lot of fun.
Like,
They, you know what? The Parks and Rec Commission meetings are the reason that I am a board member. I started off on there, so.
I'm so sorry.
Wait, it's fun.
I guess for all of us, just an update on the FEMA, an update on, the playground, thank you, that was the word, and an update on what we've kind of decided on for the memorial recognition. And hopefully, I mean, Chief's not here, but an update on what our evacuation and where to evacuate kind of stuff. Those are things.
And
that-
cell phones.
And I was gonna
Cell
say,
phones.
and our ability to communicate during
Yeah.
an emergency.
During emergency would be very
That
nice.
is very promising. I communicated just fine.
Yeah.
We do have someone that likes to come back to the community and make sure everyone gets out during evacuation.
Talking about my father?
We are.
Is that what you guys? I love it.
I love him.
If that's it, it is 8:38 and I adjourn for the evening and our next date of our next regular board meeting is November 14th.